Welcome back to Live with AI, Virtual CES 2022, a webcast series featuring in-depth interviews with industry thought leaders on the topics of ADAS and autonomy, as well as virtual demonstrations of AEye's Foresight LiDAR, a software-centric solution that adapts and optimizes its scan pattern in real time. All of these broadcasts are being shown live across all of AEye's social media channels and will be archived later on AutoVision News. Joining us now is Akram Benmbarek, and Akram is the VP of Business Development and Strategic Initiatives at AEye. He's going to share insights on the ITS market and how AEye can help transportation authorities succeed. Now, ITS is short for Intelligent Transportation Systems. It's sometimes just abbreviated to ITS. So Akram is going to shed light on that for us today. Now, Akram leads business development for strategic initiatives, where he works closely with system integrators in industrial and mobility markets to integrate AEye's adaptive high-performance LiDAR for improved safety and efficiency. Prior to AEye, Akram was Quanergy's Senior Director of Business Development, where he was charged with growing the company's application of LiDAR across non-automotive verticals, including robotics, IoT smart spaces, and security. He has a BA in Applied Economics, which is one of my favorite subjects, and an MBA from USC. Akram, thank you for joining us as part of our CES broadcast today.
Pleasure to be here, Carl. And Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to you as well. And with regard to the new year, and we talk about new opportunities in automotive. Certainly there is the case to be made for ITS, for intelligent traffic systems, but let's just start at the beginning. I kind of have a two-part question here, so I'll get to the second part, but at the beginning, just tell us what is an intelligent traffic system? What does that mean? What is an intelligent traffic system?
Carl, an intelligent traffic system is basically advanced or a system that is incorporating advanced technology for data collection, data processing, and communication, meant to make the traffic infrastructure better informed and more coordinated for higher safety, improved productivity, and sometimes to some extent improving or reducing carbon footprint. And I heard you say earlier, you talked about, I heard you say intelligent transportation systems.
Yes.
And then you asked me about intelligent traffic systems, and the reality is that intelligent traffic systems, the ITS, is part of the other ITS. So the clarification here is that intelligent transportation systems includes technologies for data collection and communication on moving vehicles or moving assets, while intelligent traffic systems pertains or are specific to technologies used on the infrastructure for sensing, data processing, active management, and prevention.
See, and this is why I'm glad we're having this conversation, Akram, because this is really my first, I've been in automotive most of my career, but this is my first exposure to ITS. So I want to clarify that for our viewers, just so because me being confused, I'm sure that it's very common. So
and actually, it's not, you're not confused. I voluntarily, deliberately wanted to address this because it is confusing to all of us. I hear people wondering, what is the difference? I thought it was a good opportunity to define the different domains.
Yes, and no better time here than CES. So ITS now. We hear a lot of times in automotive, future mobility. Those words are always used together, and it's autonomous cars, it's smart cities, but how does ITS, how does that enable future mobility?
Well, I guess we're all living this and we're witnessing it. We're slowly, and at least slower than initially anticipated, we're entering this new era where we expect ultimately autonomous vehicles to dominate the transportation landscape. And I'm talking over time. We're talking about intelligent vehicles operated independently with no human intervention or minimal human intervention. So we can move passengers or goods from one place to another in the most optimal way. And I guess this is the pinnacle of smart mobility, of the smart mobility revolution.
Okay.
And at least that's the vision of everybody in the space, or anybody who tries to use these technologies. And we've been witnessing different manifestations of mobility or mobility innovations through what we call CASE. Some people call it ACEs. Jen uses CASE, so I love CASE better. So what CASE stands for is basically connectivity, autonomy, S for sharing, and E for electrification.
Okay,
so we have this parallel paths that will eventually converge to provide the ultimate autonomous and smart mobility experience. So if you notice, most of these technologies are happening on vehicles.
Okay.
But when we're talking about the conversions and these conversions of transportation technologies, they will require a smart infrastructure, because that smart infrastructure will play the role of the strong link, and the strong link is needed through different stages of the smart mobility revolution. We don't need autonomous vehicles to need smart infrastructure. We need autonomous or we need intelligent infrastructure today.
Right.
What kind of role the ITS plays in mobility? Well, mainly in data collection, because for intelligence to happen, you need information. So you need to collect data about traffic. You need to collect data about human behaviors, and you need that data, or you need to learn how to put through data the technology at the service of citizens to lower the risk of accidents, to reduce commuting time, to improve well-being and productivity. So ITS plays a crucial role, and here there is no secret that data and the data collected is that gold, or is crucial to improving all aspects of mobility.
Right.
So I want to add one more thing. So
please,
what you realize is that with the smart, or with smart technologies, or with the smart infrastructure, and with the connected infrastructure, and thanks to data, we're able to leverage our assets properly. So whether we're talking about shared vehicles today, by the shared vehicle companies, shared vehicles driven by drivers today, through smart infrastructure, I'm able to optimize the asset utilization, and I'm able to have less vehicles on the road to do more. And when I have less vehicles, that means directly or indirectly that there is a better outcome for citizens and communities in general.
Absolutely. So Akram, my follow-up question then, because I was thinking about local communities and governments and municipalities, they would benefit, wouldn't they, from having access to all of that data? I mean, so am I following you right in that? Is that a fair statement to say that data could be beneficial for communities all across the country?
Absolutely. And who doesn't want less congestion, less pollution, less vehicles on the road? So there is no questions about that.
Of course. So Akram, in your background there, one thing that we've really been talking about with CES here, this broadcast, AEye's adaptive LiDAR, the idea of thinking like a robot, yet perceiving like a human. So I visited with a number of your colleagues already about this, but I want to talk now in the context of ITS. So the strong point for AEye is the adaptive LiDAR, the software-centric approach. We've talked about it in automotive. We've talked about it in trucking. Let's talk about it for ITS. So how does AEye's technology enable these ITS systems to be more effective and efficient?
Yeah, I love, for me, I love the aspect of intelligence, and the fact that AEye's LiDAR is the first intelligent LiDAR. But since you talked about adaptive, when I think of adaptive, I think of us humans. We're able to survive for a long time on Earth because we had the intelligence to ascertain the different situations and we live in and adapt to survive and then thrive. And an intelligent LiDAR does the same thing. It adapts. So the intelligence that makes AEye's LiDAR adaptive will give ITS systems the ability to have a more accurate situational awareness to take the right action.
Okay.
So and I talk about a more accurate because with mechanical or first generation technologies, there is a high rate of false positives. There is a high rate of false negatives, and you collect the wrong data or less accurate data that lead to less desirable outcomes. So now how adaptive helps. So what you have in ITS is you have sensors mounted physically on gantries, on poles, and they're static.
I follow you. Yes.
They're static, but at the same time, they need to detect moving objects. They need to detect people. They need to detect them at different ranges, in different lighting conditions, different angles, so on and so forth. So you can imagine that the situation is dynamic, the sensor is static, but you're expecting high quality data from there. A mechanical sensor will not be able to adapt. So it will scan the environment the same way over and over, irrespective of the environmental changes that are occurring.
Right.
On the other hand, you have an adaptive LiDAR, like an AEye, Foresight M, or HRL, that will scan the scene in the most optimal way. Every time, it will be the most optimal way where you put the energy where you need to put it. We call this region of interest. You put the energy on the relevant objects. So you're acquiring high quality data, and that is meant to be acquired. So if I'm on the road, all I'm looking for here is a vehicle, maybe a debris sometimes, but pedestrian, a kid, a stroller. So with an adaptive LiDAR, I'm able to scan in a way that I put my energy, because at the end, one thing we can talk about is that, LiDAR is laser based, it's based on light. So it's energy. So I put the energy on the relevant objects, acquire high quality data. And part of that intelligence is ignoring what is not relevant.
Right.
And we're talking about static objects, objects that are not within the domain of detection of the ITS.
So Akram, similar sort of follow-up question. Talking with Jordan Green, and Jordan and I, share this similar vision that one day AEye's LiDAR, is going to be in every vehicle, and that's easy for me to conceptualize because I've spent my whole career in automotive. But is it fair to say that adaptive LiDAR could be used in every city in the US and in every piece of infrastructure? Is that a similar, is that safe to say that we could have a widespread adoption of adaptive LiDAR? I understand it from Jordan's context in automotive, but could we have the same widespread adoption of AEye's adaptive LiDAR just relative to ITS?
Absolutely. I don't want to sound that confident, but you have now this LiDAR that is allowing you to collect better quality data that you were able to collect before.
Right.
You have a LiDAR that is allowing you to collect data that you were not able to collect before. I'm talking about the ability to detect, let's say, a vehicle approaching an intersection at 300 and 250 meters. So you're able to detect that vehicle and take the proper action. You're able to save lives with that detection. You're able to maybe better manage your traffic. And you have also the ability, and this is compelling for our stakeholders, for the cities. I think this is the most compelling for cities and transportation agencies when when we're talking about budget sensitivity, this is now you're able to do several, or to accomplish several detections with long range, fast moving vehicles, short range pedestrian, small objects. You're able to do all this with one sensing modality, with one sensor, to the extent that it covers the full field of view.
Right.
So you're able to collect data that is improving the economics of the city, that is saving lives, and that is improving the quality of life for citizens. Definitely, this is a compelling technology for ITS applications. Now, are there other applications in ITS or beyond ITS that we can talk about? Absolutely.
Sure.
With this technology, if I go outside of the, so if I go out of the intersection or the classic highway detection applications, and I look forward, and I'm thinking about autonomous vehicles. I'm thinking about autonomous taxis. It will enable what actually our partners at Soul Robotics call control tower.
Yes.
It will enable the autonomy of vehicles without needing the sensor on the vehicles. All you need is the sensor in the infrastructure. So I will have, thanks to an AEye LiDAR, I will have advanced transportation, or I call it advanced transportation solutions enabled through AEye's Foresight M or AEye LiDAR in general.
Right. So I am just, Akram, just beginning to conceptualize this with ITS. This is so fascinating, and I would really love, like next year at this time, I would love to have an interview with you at CES to see how things have grown and evolved and changed. But so I'm going to pay closer attention to this, and thank you for clarifying and educating. Obviously we see autonomous cars and and autonomous trucking, right? And then I think sometimes maybe we don't think about the infrastructure. Maybe it's kind of an afterthought, but when you really put it that way, it's such a crucial piece of the puzzle in order to make future mobility work.
Indeed. It's I call it in the ITS world, I call it the other hand to clap, because you have technologies needed.
Of course.
You have you need LiDAR on autonomous vehicles, but without that other hand that gives you, that basically collects data beyond the sensing capabilities of the moving assets or the moving vehicles. It's collecting data that the vehicles do not see, that the pedestrian doesn't see, and conveys that data to all the actors of smart mobility, whether it's a pedestrian getting the information on the phone, or it's a driver getting that that message to slow down or to avoid a certain route, so on and so forth. It is indeed that other hand that you need to slap.
So I'm sure we've covered this in so many words, and I like that analogy about the other hand. But so again, I'm sure we've covered this in so many words. But allow me just to ask the question, more directly, just as we kind of come to the end of our time together. These solutions that AEye has, how do you help transportation authorities be more successful and more effective? Again, I know we've kind of covered this in a roundabout way, but I wanted to just ask the question more directly. So I'm a transportation authority. I come to you, I say, Akram, here's my use cases, here's my challenges. How can you help me be successful and effective as a transportation authority?
Sure. Really good question here. It allows me to explain how our business works and how we're growing as a company globally.
Please.
So one thing that is very different about the industrial market in general, I'm not talking about just ITS, but all the markets that we're covering outside of the automotive industry, is that these markets are fragmented. in the automotive market, you have a few dozen OEMs, and they're kind of working on large orders, on long sales cycle. It's a long engagement. It's a long-term engagement. Here we have several verticals with an insane amount of application.
Okay.
And use cases. And we see new use cases every day. And in every vertical, there are leaders and experts. And I go back to your question about that, director of DOT or mayor, city, transportation manager. How can we cater to so many use cases, to so many applications?
Yes.
And the way we do that is actually through what I mentioned as leaders or experts in the vertical. These leaders and professional experts are our partners in this global journey.
Yes.
And our partners global network is the heart of our growth, and every partner we have matters. So the way we're gonna get, or of course we're always happy to work with the end user. It's very important for us to interact with the end user, with the city, with the DOT, to get that feedback directly, to get to understand the different challenges that may occur during the customer experience. But when we talk about servicing this end user day in and day out, we defer to our partners, and our partners will be a system integrator in intersection management, or a software provider, perception partner. We will maybe a system integrator, build-in systems on vehicles, on trains, on other transportation vehicles. So really, as I said, this is a global partner. This is a global network that is growing, and it is the heart of our growth. And what can I say? While the most brilliant, my most brilliant colleagues at AEye are working hard in keeping us at the forefront of LiDAR innovation, what we're doing on the business side is we're working with existing and prospective partners to ensure that we're building a collaborative business framework that allows us to create opportunities worldwide where our LiDAR is changing lives in a way or another, and at the same time creating a unique business opportunity for our partners and ourselves.
Akram, this is fantastic, and I can't wait to watch this interview back, just to glean all the insights here. So, just one more time before we wrap up. So, because I was kind of confused, and just for our viewers who may be confused, we've got ITS, intelligent transportation systems, and intelligent traffic systems. Let's go over that one more time before we go into Soul Robotics. So Soul Robotics is going to be on after you mentioned them, but let's go over those ITS designations just one more time.
So the way I understand it is that the overarching label or qualification, it would be the intelligent transportation systems, which includes both technologies and solutions that are mounted on moving assets, vehicles, and other moving assets, and intelligent traffic systems, which kind of is specific. Intelligent traffic system is specific to these technologies for data collection and processing and communication that is specific to the infrastructure. And usually they are static or semi-static.
Akram, we want to thank you for your explanations and for just taking the time to be with us here as part of this CES broadcast. So thank you for your time today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Soul Robotics is on the way next. You're watching Live with AI Virtual CES 2022.
Hi, this is Mrinal Sood, Director of Technical Marketing at AEye. In the world of 3D sensing for industrial uses, customers want a complete solution that allows pedestrian classification and tracking. Here, you see 5 people walking around and being tracked in a parking lot using our partner Soul Robotics' sensor software. The adaptability of AEye's Foresight platform uniquely pairs with sensor software. Customers, especially those in security and surveillance markets, or those with high-value assets that need to be monitored, can set up virtual perimeters and fences using zones. And in this example, we're showing that if a pedestrian occupies or loiters in a zone for more than 3 seconds, Foresight automatically changes its performance mode to enable a dense region of interest with greater range and resolution. And if the person exits that zone, the performance mode reverts back. And here you'll see that cycle multiple times.